Welcome to Booked, Busy, and Building, the podcast for dreamers, doers, and everyday people making it happen. Whether you're building a business, a mindset, or a better version of yourself, this is your space to stay grounded, get inspired, and keep growing no matter how full your calendar gets. So if you're chasing your dreams and figuring it out as you go, this is your space to stay motivated and keep building. So tune in every week for new episodes. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Booked, Busy, and Building, the podcast where we talk about building the life you actually want. Today, we are going to be talking all about how the future you is quite literally begging you to lock in. When we were young, I feel like a lot of us envisioned what our lives would look like as we got older. I know I always thought, what kind of job am I going to have? What car will I drive? What will I do? Like, I had all of these questions. Now that I'm in my early 20s, I'm having those same questions, but about my future self in the next 5 to 10 years. Will I have a house? Will I have my student loans paid off? What car will I drive? What will my career look like? And it's really cool to imagine that there is a future version of yourself that probably and most likely has all of these things it is that you are probably even praying for right now. The house, the business, the confidence, the life, whatever it may be. That future version of yourself is literally sitting there waiting for you to catch up, waiting for you to just start and do the thing because it's all there ready for you. But the thing that nobody tells you is that the future you cannot do anything without the you right now. The future you is not somebody that just magically appears one day and just magically happens. It is something that you have to do starting today, where you are choosing actively every single day, starting now, to be that person. If you've been waiting for a sign, if you've been waiting for something to be like, I just need to know what should I do, this is the episode for you. Before we get started into today's episode, you guys know we always start off with our weekly Booked, Busy, and Building check-in, which are 3 things to ask yourself. Number 1 is, what opportunities are you stepping into this week and how are you staying booked? I'm going to be booked a little bit differently this week. By the time you guys are watching or listening to this episode, I will be in Turks and Caicos celebrating my 24th birthday. I am so beyond excited. This is a trip that my boyfriend and I have had booked for the last couple of months, and I'm just so ecstatic. And if you're interested in seeing the content while I'm there, I'm going to be posting daily on Instagram and TikTok. I'm also filming a prep with me for Turks, spend the week with me kind of video. I'm going to be doing that prep video that's going to go live actually today. By the time you guys are done listening to this episode, you can go and watch it. And then I'm also going to be filming and vlogging while I'm over there. So I am literally so excited. I can't believe I'm going to be 24 and then next year 25 and then I'm halfway to 30. Like, it is actually so crazy, but that is how I'm staying booked this week. So I'm very, very excited about that. Number 2 is, what is taking up your time and energy right now and what is keeping you busy? Something that has been keeping me a little bit busy lately is actually staying consistent with my work and more specifically with my personal YouTube channel. So I mentioned it literally in the previous tip that I'm going to be posting a vlog. I'm also going to be doing a prep with me for Turks video. Like, I have really been in my consistent era over on my personal channel, and it's because not only do I want to grow it, but also I loved watching OG YouTubers do vlogs and just to bring the camera around in their day-to-day life. And I realized, like, even if my life is not super fun every single day and it's kind of just the same routine over and over again, it does not mean that I should not be filming it. So I've been bringing my camera along now when I hang out with my friends, so you guys can kind of see that other side of me where I have friends and I hang out and I do things and I'm not just home working every single day. So definitely that has been my main concern right now, and like taking up, not my concern, but like it's been taking up all of my time and energy right now because I am super into long form and I love editing. I love bringing my camera out. It's literally been coming with me everywhere. My friends love grabbing it too and talking, so it's really fun. And lastly, what are you intentionally working towards for your future self and building? So I'm intentionally working towards focusing more on positive thinking and thinking what is the best outcome for something versus what is the worst that could happen. Because I used to have this really bad habit of thinking what is the worst that could happen or what is something that could go wrong with this. But instead, I want to start thinking what is the best, what could actually come from this, what's the coolest thing that could happen, instead of maybe thinking negatively or instead of maybe thinking about the worst possible scenario. So I want to challenge you back with this tip to think, how can you start being a little bit more positive in your day-to-day life? How can you start showing up in that more positive aspect with anything it is that you are doing? Because I feel like when you finally start to make that switch, you can see things so much more better. Tip number 1 is your future self is a real person, so start treating them like one. Most people treat their future selves like they're a stranger, or like they're someone that they may not meet right now, or they may eventually meet if things work out. But this person, like this future version of yourself, they are not a maybe. It is a literal guarantee that you can have your dreams and your goals happen, and you can be that person with that dream life, whatever it is that you envision, if you actually show up. When you skip the gym, when you blow off your content schedule, when you ignore the email that you've probably been drafting for weeks, you are literally standing that person up. Like, imagine if you got asked to go on a date and you're super excited, you're all prepped and ready, you have your outfit ready, you did your nails, you did your hair and whatever, and then you decide, I am not going to go, or I'm not going to do this, or the person decides they're not going to do it. It's like, how would that make you feel? How would it make that other person feel? And that's exactly how I envision being my future self. I'm like, if I don't start showing up right now, if I don't lock in right now, my future self is not going to have everything it is that I want. Like, I'm just removing one day of my dream life that is happening in the future. One tip I would say to counter this is start making decisions from your future self's perspective starting now. Ask yourself, what would the future version of me who already has this do right now? And you can think of this with anything. Maybe tomorrow you decide, I want to wake up at 5 a.m. So you set your alarm for tomorrow. Now tomorrow comes, you see the alarm go off, and then you think, I want to snooze this. I'm tired. Maybe you were staying up late because you were watching the NBA finals, go Knicks. Like, let's just say that you do not want to wake up. Now you have to think, what would the future version of myself do? Would she stay in bed, or would she actually get up and go do something? So when you are in situations like that, no matter how silly it may sound, just think about that person and do it. Maybe you want to buy something silly and you don't really know if it's worth it or not, or maybe it's an expensive item and you're kind of going back and forth on it. Think, does the future version of yourself need this? Will this benefit that person in any way, shape, or form? And if not, maybe it's not time to buy it right now. Maybe it's not time to buy that thing right now, but if it does benefit you, then maybe it's time to pull the trigger and invest on whatever thing it is. Maybe it's a new phone or a new camera or a laptop, whatever it may be. Just start to think about that future version of yourself. The moment that you make that future you personal and real in your head, you stop the procrastination, you stop putting things on the side, you stop slacking, and instead you actually feel like someone that wants to show up every day versus someone that's like, it's okay, I can slack off today. Like, when you realize, no, I actually need to show up for the future me, you break all of those bad habits immediately, because that is not helping you get closer to there. Tip number 2 is taking one small action is key. Locking in does not mean that you need to isolate yourself, you need to ghost people, you need to abandon everybody like your family or your friends. That is not what it means. It is as simple as putting one foot in front of the other every single day. That is truly what unlocks everything for you. For example, somebody's fitness journey is not going to start with a perfect workout plan, meal prepped, all the best groceries from Whole Foods or Erewhon or whatever it is, like an expensive grocery store, and you're not going to see immediate results in the first day. Like, it is starting by getting up when you say you are going to, putting your shoes on, getting in the car, going to the gym, going on the walk or going on the run, eating well every day, like whatever it may be. It literally starts with those small baby steps. Even, for example, your dream business. It does not start with a perfect plan or a strategy. It starts by sending that email, reaching out to that person, going on LinkedIn, putting time to make that dream a reality. That is how these things begin to form. But a lot of us feel like something needs to be perfect in order for it to finally be done right, but that's not true. There have been so many times where I've uploaded something or I've done something where I'm like, this is not perfect, and then I scrap the whole thing, versus now I just post even if something is not 100% perfect, because done is better than nothing. This does not mean that you're putting out crappy content or you're putting out the least amount of effort possible. It just means that you are not trying to make everything that you put out this unbreakable, perfectly perfect project or task. For example, when I post content, I look at it a million times after I post it and a million times before I post it. Like, when I have a TikTok in my drafts, I will rewatch it 3-4 times. I'll listen to my voice over and over again to really make sure that the video is good. Like I said, I didn't say perfect, I said good. If this is good, I'm going to post it. And I do the same thing with my YouTube videos. I mentioned earlier in my Booked, Busy, and Building check-in that I really want to focus on long form content, and posting my vlogs, and I don't have the best editing. I literally edit on iMovie. I use the green screen effect and I take screenshots of the text from Canva and I put it in. Like, I do not have the best editing. When I post a YouTube vlog, I rewatch it, I look at it, I try to pick what are some things that I can improve in my next video. And I look at these videos as if I am a viewer, as if I am a follower of myself and I am my own audience member. And as I post, I continue to do that because not only do I want to give myself feedback, but I want to learn and how can I improve on this for the future. So whatever it is that you want to do, you are never going to feel ready. But the move and the key thing to do is to act like you are already that person. Act like you are already at the level it is that you want to be. Act like whoever it is that you want to be. And then the readiness and the confidence and everything else is going to follow after. Everything else slowly starts to fall into position and come into fruition, but you need to take action first. Number 3 is the cost of waiting is so much higher than you think. Every day that you do not start, your future self is just going to lag further and further and further behind. You are literally putting aside your own potential of what could happen. And to me, that what if feeling is something that I do not want to live with. And I realized that at a very young age, more specifically towards like middle school, high school, when I was figuring out myself and who I wanted to be and I was thinking about my future. I've been thinking about it since a very young age, which is crazy, but I'm not kidding. Like, I've always been this very ambitious girl, this ambitious individual. I know what I want out of life. I know what my dreams and my goals look like, and I'm not going to stop until I get there. And so I would think from a very young age, I'm like, what is it that I want to do? Who is it that I want to be? And of course, back then I was like, I have to go the traditional route. And now that I've gotten older and I've leaned more into a creative career, I do freelance, I do contractor work, I try a million different things. I personally love the era that I'm in right now, but it would have never happened if I would have waited to just pull the trigger on whatever it is that I wanted to do. And if you really want to put these things into perspective, think about where you'd be right now if you would have started a year ago on whatever it is that you want. Maybe you want to take your art seriously. Maybe you want to be a writer and you want to publish your first book. Maybe you want to be a content creator, a photographer, a videographer, whatever it may be. It doesn't even need to be in a creative field. Think, where could you be in a year if you literally started right now? The waiting game and waiting for this perfect moment or this right time, that is one of the most expensive habits that you are going to ever have or ever do, because time is something you are never going to get back. And this was something that I also was told at a very young age, especially around things that I wanted to accomplish. And when I was thinking about my life going into college, I was like, what college do I want to go to? Like, I am not going to get this time back. I can go to college again in the future if I want, but these next 4 years, I'm not going to get them back. So what can I do now to start setting myself up for the future? And that's what I did throughout college. I literally gave myself this like 4-year timeline. And I was like, as a freshman, you have until senior year to build yourself up, to try new things, get internships, try the random jobs, do the things, do the unpaid things too, just try everything. And because of that, I made connections, I met cool people, I went to different events, I did the fashion week, I did the collabs, I would go to the fashion shows and skip class and then go to class after. Like, I tried everything, but it's like I didn't wait for the right moment or the right time, because again, the cost of waiting is so much higher than you think. No one can get time back, yet that is something everybody wastes. Like, you are probably wasting your own time doing things that you think are pushing the needle further, but are not actually doing anything. Procrastination and planning and watching all of these videos or podcasts or whatever it may be, you may think that that's pushing the needle further, but it's actually not. So the gap between who you are right now and who you want to be, it does not close on its own. Like, that gap is not slowly going to come together without any kind of work. It only closes when you decide, I'm going to start today and I'm going to take action. Last but not least, tip number 4, act as if the future is already done. I loved this tip and I really wanted to specifically save it for the last, because the true shift happens when you separate the future you and the person that you are right now. I mentioned in the previous tip that that gap is not going to close until you finally start taking action, because right now, if you're not taking action and you're just dreaming up of being that person, then you're always going to feel like that person and that life is so far away. But when you really go into that identity shift and you start acting like that person right now, there is no gap. There is no separation. Like, you are that person right now. I drive a Volkswagen, but my dream car is a G-Wagon. So I'm like, I'm going to show up as the girl right now that has the G-Wagon. And even though in reality, I may still be driving a Volkswagen Jetta, that's perfectly fine. in my dream life, I am driving my G-Wagon, but I'm still showing up as that version of Pamela today. So something that you can do today is start shifting that separation between the people who stay stuck and the people who get there in life. So for example, I show up even before the proof happens in my life. And I've done this with so many things. When I wanted to become a content creator, again, I just showed up as that person. If you want a thriving business, start operating like a CEO before the company has the revenue it is that you want, or before it has the sales, or whatever it is that you want. Like, this identity shift is always going to be the thing that can happen and that you should be doing before the real proof and before the evidence starts to actually show up. So don't wait to feel like the person. You decide to be that person starting today, and then everything else follows up after that. The results, the car, the life, the white picket fence, whatever it may be, it will show up after, but you need to also start right now. Everything that you have ever wanted or that you want right now is already built, and it's waiting, and it exists on the other side of you deciding, I'm going to show up today. I'm going to put one foot in front of the other. I'm going to start taking action. The future you, however many years in the future it may be, they have already done the work. They've already shown up. They've put in the time and the energy. They've lived the life, and they've become the person they've always envisioned. But that person cannot exist without the version of you sitting right here, right now, making the choice and deciding, I'm going to lock in and I am going to be better. I am going to be 1% better, 2% better, whatever it may be, even if it's 0.5. Like, stop waiting for the right moment or the right mood, or maybe I need to see another sign. You are your own sign. Your future, your dreams, whatever you're thinking in your head, that is already your sign, and that is big enough. So lock in, let's show up, and go get everything that is already yours, because you can do it. Thanks for tuning in to Booked, Busy, and Building, where we keep it real, stay growing, and are always showing up for ourselves. Remember that you're not behind, you're in the middle of becoming, so keep building what matters, and the life you want is already yours. And until next time, stay booked, stay busy, and keep building.